Hey, welcome to Stephen McGrath's Basscraft. So, things are kind of getting back to normal in my world. I'm back doing in-person lessons next week. I have a few school visits this week, teaching bass and some music tech around where I live. And it's at the same time brilliant that things are opening up. Well, I have no gigs till next year, or well, I think November at best. But it's great that things are opening up, but it's also scary that this lovely routine that I'm after forming is going to have to change, and I'll have to be a bit more scheduled with my time. Like, I'm getting loads of practice in, I'm making loads of podcasts, YouTube videos, but I can also do whatever I want in the middle of the day. I can play video games, go for a walk, pretty much go for a cycle, do whatever I want, make guitars. And now things are coming back to normal, so I'm going to have a bit more of a regimented schedule. So I hope my productivity will stay at the same level, even though the world is returning and there'll be lots of distractions, and also that I have to go places and do stuff. But with that in mind, if any of you have any more guests you think I should have on, drop me a line. I'm totally open to that. Some of the best guests I've had on came from your suggestions and you guys giving me their emails. So type of guests I haven't had much on would be people who are, who don't really have much presence on social media or any of that, but are in rock bands. I've been in touring bands for years, and it's actually quite hard to track down an email address for one of those guys because they don't really have any interest in all this internet stuff a lot of the time. But if you have any suggestions for guests, let me know. So today's guest is Iván Carranza, and I've been following his stuff for a long time on Instagram and YouTube, and he puts up really interesting content, reviews and lessons and stuff like that, and he's a real solid player. He's originally from Peru, but he's been living in Germany and studying music for the last few years. So we kind of be chatting off and on a lot, and Iván he got knocked down there in November, so a lot of the chat we were talking about that and his recovery process. So it's a very casual conversation this time, and we're just chatting about life and bass and stuff like that. So I hope you enjoy it, and as usual, don't forget to like, subscribe, review this wherever you are, or leave a comment. And I'll talk to you in a minute. So Ivan, what's going on with you?
I'm like sort of starting my old everyday life back again at the moment.
That's great.
after being hit by a car.
I know. I've been following your progress. Like it's tough, man. Watching what you've gone through.
It was definitely a life-changing experience, not to say the least. But I'm getting better after my surgery, so it's all going pretty well. I mean,
do you want to tell us what happened? Tell the people.
Yeah, it's like I really have bad luck. I was grocery shopping because I wanted to cook with the girl that I was dating back at the time, and literally this happened like 100 meters to my left, right in front of my doorstep. I was grocery shopping across the street. I had everything on my backpack, and here in Germany we have traffic lights for the pedestrians and the cars. So I was at the corner and I could see my doorstep right from the other side, and I was waiting at the traffic light, and then it was like green for me, so I started to cross to the other side, and I was like maybe 2 steps away from reaching the other side of the street, and I see on the corner of my eye a car trying to turn and go into the street where I was crossing, and there's like dotted lines for the pedestrians to cross, and the cars have to stop there, right? And I see the car in the corner of my eye, but just barely. And the next thing that I remember is that for me it was everything was black, and as weird as it might sound, I remember like very clearly hearing in my head a voice that said, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
Close the book. Bye.
You got the slow motion effect. It was like,
it was like everything black, and then I just heard that. And the other thing that I remember hearing was like my brain telling me to tighten up, to stay tight. And when I opened up my eyes, I was laying on the floor with my back against the floor. And luckily, my backpack with all the things that I had bought, the groceries, like protected my back and my neck and my head. Otherwise, I would have hit the concrete, and who knows what
Really?
happened.
What was in it? Like vegetables and stuff like that?
Yeah, vegetables. It was a package of eggs, and even that survived. Yeah. Vegetables, bananas, and rice and stuff. And that protected me. But I wake up. I opened my eyes, and my knee was really hurting. So I wanted to immediately, as a reflex, I wanted to stand up. But a lady came running to me and was like, "No, stay there." And then they called the police and the ambulance, and they took me to the hospital, and got my X-rays done. And as weird as also it might sound, the doctors were like, "Okay, you don't have any bones broken, but you might have a torn ligament there, but you gotta figure that out on your own. So here, you're free to go."
Okay. I would have thought that Germany has a really good health system that they'd look after you no matter what.
Yeah, I mean it's a good system, but I noticed dealing with this that there are some things where there's room for improvement.
Is that because of COVID though? They were probably like, get him out of here, because that's happening a lot these days.
I don't think so. I think it has to do with the type of insurance that you have and the severity of your accident. A doctor explained me that if you don't have a broken bone, then it's not so bad that it needs to be fixed right away. So that's what they send you back home. And I had to go back. They gave me crutches and a brace, but I had to call a friend, and then we went home. But I was in a lot of pain. And then the next day I had to go to the doctor to get an MRI, and I had to wait 2 weeks for that. And it's a process that has stretched out a lot. And luckily, I just got my surgery in January, and that's probably the most painful thing I've been through after the surgery. Maybe because I stopped taking the pain pills that they gave me because I was feeling terrible with them.
Yeah, just what kind of symptoms? Just upset stomach and just everything.
Yeah, I was feeling like dizzy the whole day. I wanted to sleep, didn't want to eat, I wanted to throw up, and I thought, I'd rather deal with the pain than feel pain and feel like crap.
That's terrible.
So, yeah.
This was when did you get hit? Was it like November or something? Was it?
Yeah, November, the beginning of November.
Oh my God.
So right now it's like late March, and I just got cleared to leave my knee brace so I can walk again with, just like this. It still feels weird, but I'm making progress.
God, yeah, it's been some ordeal, like, because I've been following you for a good few years, like, and it's crazy the amount of content you put up, like videos, and what was it, a few videos a week nearly for a year you were doing.
Yeah, I mean, for the past year until November, I was putting 3 videos a week.
That's crazy, and then just to not be able to do it at all, not even be able to play the bass like for that many months.
Yeah, it's interesting because I finished my master's degree in music in summer 2020, and when I finished, I was kind of depressed actually. Because
that's normal though. Like the brilliant thing about doing a degree is you don't have to think about the future. You're in that bubble for 4 years, and it's like, oh, this is brilliant. All I have to think about is music. I don't really, as long as you have enough money to survive, you don't have to think about those big adult decisions. You're like, this is it. But when you finish, then you're thinking, what am I going to do now for the rest of my life? I need to make a plan.
Yeah. I mean, I was teaching the whole time while I was studying, and making the videos. I'm usually playing shows, but when I finished, finishing a master's degree in music in the middle of a pandemic where there's no live music, it's kind of like, okay, what am I going to do with this?
Oh, well, sure. I know we're all in the same boat. Like I usually would make most of my money from gigs, like, and now it's teaching all the time. But are you teaching bass? Is it, or other instruments?
Yeah, bass.
God, there's not as much demand for bass lessons where I am, but there's enough demand there. Like,
I lost you for a second. Could you repeat that?
Sorry, I was saying there's not a crazy amount of demand for bass lessons here where I live, but there's enough where you are, like, to be busy and to make a living.
Well, I teach at two different schools, so that's where I get my students from.
Mm.
But there are a lot more guitar players, right, looking for lessons than bass players. So getting bass players is students is definitely tougher, but I get enough that I can, pay some stuff. And that's what I was doing, until November, till the accident. I graduated, and when I got my certificate, I was pretty depressed, kind of. That was weighing on me, and I just kept teaching and make the videos. And then the accident happened, and that was like, another hit. And I haven't played like consistently for, like you mentioned, like for 6 months, 5 months, and I'm just starting to pick up my bass again, and practice and get the fingers still moving. But I took the time off, so to speak, and the little time I could somewhat comfortably grab an instrument and start to learn how to play guitar.
Yeah. Is that the first time you picked up a guitar? Like, you never noodled around or played them at all?
I could play power chords, but that doesn't really count.
No.
So I was like, learn open chords and the arpeggios and, to bend and stuff like that. I'm still nowhere near good, but just to understand how the instrument works, because it is definitely different than a bass.
Oh, definitely. I'm going to get shot for saying this, but I think it's easier to do a good guitar solo than a good bass solo, because you can rely on like a lot of bends and cool licks, and it's going to sound good.
Yeah. One thing that I've noticed now that I'm practicing bass again is that I think that my playing has improved from playing guitar as well to learning phrasing wise, because just like you said, the bendings and all those little phrasing things that you can do on a guitar, maybe you can't do all of them on the bass, but the concept behind them is transferable. So that's been interesting for me so far to notice.
Yeah, Cody Wright does a lot of kind of guitar bass licks, but on the bass, and they work really well. He figured it out, like how to transfer them. Like,
yeah, it's cool.
Deadly. And so you're in Germany, but you're actually from Peru originally.
Yes, I was born and raised in Lima, Peru.
It's a bit of a jump, isn't it? Like to just go all the way to Germany.
Yeah. The thing is that I am pretty mixed family-wise. My great grandma was from Germany. I also have Russian roots, Spanish roots. I'm half Argentinian, and there's a lot of ethnicities mixed up in there. And my parents sent me to a German school in Peru, so that I learn a third language as well.
Is that normal, like that, to be German schools and stuff in Peru?
No, it's not normal. It was a private school, but the thing is that the education system in Peru, the public schools are terrible. I mean, like really, really, really bad.
Because so over here, everyone just goes to public school. It would be not the norm to go to a private school. It's the norm that everyone just goes to the public schools because they're pretty good. Like,
yeah, but they sent me to this school because the education was better and the additional language that you can learn. And so I started learning German there. And originally, I didn't want to pursue music. I was just learning how to play bass. Just out of hobby. But my music teacher the last 2 years, he was an upright bass player. Excuse me, a jazz upright bass player, and he was like, "Hey, you're actually pretty good. Have you thought about studying music?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure." But then he kept pushing the idea there, planting the seed. So I started preparing for admission exams, and I flew here. That was 2011, I think.
And would you say you were a student of the instrument? Like you teach yourself now, so some kids come in, they're just doing it for a hobby and to do at the weekend, and then there's kids who are really into it. That they go into the shed. Were you that kid, like, or were you the fellow who was just doing it for the fun of it?
Well, I was practicing like on my own, probably 6 hours a day.
Okay, you were in the shade. Yeah. You were serious.
Yeah, because it was fun. I wanted to be better. I wanted to improve and play. But there's definitely students that from my students that I can tell, like, okay, this kid is really good, you know. This definitely they pick up the ideas fast, and I can just show them advanced stuff, like from the beginning as well, because they just catch the ideas pretty fast. That for me, I have to say, and I'm being very honest, it's not the case. I struggle with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, me too. I was very slow, and I'm still a bit of a slow learner when it comes to things. But I just work hard at them.
Yeah, exactly. I do too. I do the same thing. I just practice as much as I can and try to get things the way I would like them to sound.
Yeah, like today I was learning this Mac Miller bass line, and I'm sure like other people would do it and they'd have it like that, but I literally spend all day on about 8 bars trying to get it exactly right, get the timing, but I don't know. That's just
Which
my
song?
process. I keep forgetting the name. Let me Google it there.
Yeah.
Come Back to Earth.
Okay, I don't have it in my head right now.
Now it's playing in my headphones. That's gone.
Is it Thundercat on bass?
It's just like it's not Thundercat, no, it's whoever produced the album, and there's no drums. It's just a little bit of keyboard, guitar, voice, and a P bass with a pick and a bit of tremolo is what it sounds like.
Yeah, cool. I'm gonna check it out.
Oh, it's class. Really intricate kind of Jamerson kind of bass line.
Yeah.
Bit alert, but in fairness, you were able to learn some hard enough things. You did like a cover of the Deantown there before you got hit, didn't you?
Yeah. That I decided to learn that because a lot of my students wanted to learn that song, and I was like, I'm gonna transcribe it and then just learn it. And for example, on that thing, I spent to get it to the right tempo and fluidity so that I feel comfortable with that. I definitely spent a couple of weeks practicing that.
I've been thinking of putting up more videos where like I'm fucking up bass lines and showing the process. I'll have like maybe when I do this Mac Miller one, I'll put up me playing it perfectly, and then I'll put loads of the clips of me making an absolute balls of it, so people can see that like there's no perfection. Like even if you're putting up the clips that are perfect, it took you a bit of a process to get there.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people, they just see the end result and they don't see the hours that go behind, to get there. But it is definitely a process, and I think you have to enjoy the process if you wanna succeed or get better.
Yeah, you'll burn out like if you hate it, because you might practice a bit, but if you're not going to do it for 30, 40 years practicing that hard, like if you don't enjoy it.
Yeah, totally.
But would you consider yourself a rock bass player? Because I generally see you putting up like a lot of Deep Purple. You're a big fan of Glenn Hughes on the bass.
Yeah. Well, I grew up listening to that stuff, I picked up the bass because I went to my cousin played guitar, and he had an Iron Maiden tribute show, or Iron Maiden tribute band, and I went to one of their shows, and that was the first time I heard a bass, heard it and felt the low end of a bass. And the funny thing is that the bass of the bass player was like the crappiest, like cheapest instrument you could see. It was like the paint was falling off. It was like, I don't know, maybe worth $20 or something. But on that day, on the position where I was in the club, the sound was huge. It was like, the classic Steve Harris tone, like right in your face. And I was like, I had to play that,
I want that instrument.
And the next day or the next week, I grabbed all my savings and I bought a bass. And my cousin taught me, how to place your hand correctly on the neck and whatnot. And I just started practicing without an amp first. And then my mom noticed that I was, interested in that. She bought me an amp and started to pay lessons for me. But I grew up listening to that, Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, Iron Maiden, all that stuff. And then I discovered all the other genres that are out there as well.
I think we're all like that, though. We do discover other stuff, but we stick to our roots. Like no matter what I do, I still consider myself a rock metal guy.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've played in reggae bands and funk, salsa, Latin, rock as well, and all of them have something interesting to as a musician. When you're in a band with the people, the interaction is different, the crowd reacts differently as well. But when I'm home and I want to listen to something and just have a good time, I just turn on a rock album.
Any albums you listen to lately? Any new stuff come or any bands that you like?
Yeah, I mean, lately I've been blasting the latest album by the band Inglorious. They're from the UK,
Okay.
from England. The album is called We Will Ride. It's a great album. Other than that, a lot of Glenn Hughes, like you said.
I saw him
really
there about 3 years ago live
Really?
in Dublin. Yeah, he's singing. His bass playing is amazing, but his singing is outrageous.
Yeah.
He did a
It's
kind
not
of
fair, man.
a soul song. I think it was a Ray Charles song he sang, and he was hitting the high notes. The glasses were nearly smashing in the venue.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he can sing and can play amazingly well. It's just like, that blows my mind. And his tone on the records is also huge.
Yeah, he's a
Really
cool
like
guy.
it.
Like he survived like a crazy lifestyle. Like a lot of the people, his contemporaries, have passed away. Like, but he obviously has good genes because he's still going strong and he looks really healthy.
Yeah. They I mean, he and the guys of the Dead Daisies also released an album this year. I think the name is called Holy Ground. I've also been listening to that as well. A really cool rock record. There's a song called Like No Other Bassline, and there's a short bass solo in there, and the bass sound is huge in there. Love it.
Cool. I must check that out. It's deadly that he's like so busy.
Yeah.
Most fellas would be less prolific as they get older, but he's in like a band with Joe Bonamassa as well, isn't he? Like,
Yeah, the Black Country Community,
Mm.
I think it's called. Yeah, it's amazing.
when you hurt your knee, like, did you turn to something else to kind of get you through like all those months because you couldn't really play? I saw you were reading a lot of books, or did you kind of
Yeah.
turn to different interests to maybe help with those few months?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like the day after the accident, it's, or to put it differently, when you get hit by a car, right, you're just happy that you're in one piece, right? And that day I was like full of adrenaline. The pain didn't settle still on that day. And the next day and the couple of days afterwards, you kind of start to realize what actually happened, right? And I remember that the day after the accident, I told myself that, okay, something really shitty happened to me, and I don't know how long it's gonna take till I'm back to normal, to live my regular life. But I can't let this to control my mood and lead me to a path of depression, because if you land there, in a depression hole, it's not good for your health, for your healing capabilities as well, to recover from the injury, and not at all good for your immune system. And that's the worst thing that could happen in the middle of a pandemic. So you got to keep your immune system up. So I was like, I can't let this, get to me. And I started to like you mentioned, to read, and also to focus on the things that I could do, just to look at the accident as an event that happened, and not put judgment on it. Just to see, okay, this happened. What can I do from here? What are my options? How can I control, or what are the things that I can control, instead of, I can't control that I have pain. It's gonna be there. I can't control that I can walk.
You can't change that the accident happened. Like, you need to move on with it.
Yeah. So I started to read about different things. There's an author, Ryan Holiday. He's written pretty cool books about Stoicism, the philosophy. I don't know how to call this, chain or
Stoicism. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that Roman general was like one of them. Is it he came up with it, or is he one of the main advocates? Marcus Aurelius.
I don't remember. Yeah, exactly. I read his diary. I think how is it called? I don't remember.
I think that film. I could be completely wrong, but is Gladiator? No, that film is loosely based on the guy in Gladiator. Joaquin Phoenix's character is Marcus Aurelius's son. Is that right?
Yeah, it can be. I don't remember exactly.
Great film if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I love the movie. Yeah, but I don't remember that part. But I read the diary of Marcus Aurelius. It's brilliant the way he thought on the things, he was, thinking and elaborating in his mind, considering especially that, that happened like a long time ago.
Would this be a very layman's explanation of Stoicism? Don't get mad or happy about anything. Be neutral about everything.
I mean, that's what I've read, like some memes on the internet, that say about it. But I think it's more like the way I try to formulate it, that don't put judgment on it, just see it as an event, right? And then see what you can do from that. But don't look at it as something bad or something like cheerful or whatever. Just see, okay, it's there, and don't let it, affect your actions.
Would it be fair to say, like, if your happiness comes from great things happening all the time, then when something bad happens, it'll hit you even harder?
Yeah.
Is that kind of be the understanding of it? Try to have like an internal evaluation instead of taking your happiness or your state of mind from external things.
Yeah, I mean, because if it's like the way you've just pictured it, that you're happy because good things are happening all the time, you can't control that good things are always going to happen, but you can control the actions that you're doing to make those things happen, right? So you can either continue doing them or look at it like, okay, something bad happened, I'm just going to stop doing everything because something bad happened.
Yeah.
Right.
But do you think going forward, like the lessons you learn from your injury are going to, there'll probably be more positives from it? Like, well, you seem like a very resilient person and a very disciplined person. So,
well, for once, I definitely learned, or I got closer to some of my friends, because when something like this happens, you realize who you can count on, and who's there for you, and you really learn to appreciate that. Also, the fact that I'm still alive, because it could have ended up way differently.
Yeah.
I could have, maybe broken my finger, couldn't even play bass again or something, or even worse. It gives you more perspective about the things that you can do. And can I curse here?
Oh, all you want.
Okay, as shitty as it is, to have a bad knee, because there's a lot of things that you can't do with a bad knee. I mean, I woke up the next day, I couldn't even change my socks. I couldn't go to the bathroom. Stuff like that, it's painful and it's complicated, and you realize there are a lot of things that you cannot do, but that just builds up, I think, like you said, your character. And like I said, I learned, who some of my good friends are. Also, I got to see my family again. Also.
Oh, really? I was going to say it must have been really hard to be in not another country, but another continent. And
they flew,
have such a bad thing happen.
Yeah, they flew for my surgery, and my parents are still here, and I hadn't seen them in 3 years, so it was good to see them again.
That's class.
Yeah, and I'm thankful for that. Without the injury or the surgery, I wouldn't have been able to see them. Also, I wouldn't have probably picked up the guitar and started to learn that. And I also took the last 2 months after the surgery, or when the surgery happened, and started, just gathering ideas, because I couldn't do anything else. I being in bed all day. I couldn't move much, so I started gathering ideas, and I've been writing some original music that is gonna be released somewhat soon. There's something coming on the, there's something happening.
And what are you playing on it? You got a singer, and you're kind of doing all the production. Is that how it's working? No,
well, I wrote most of the material, but the instruments, and I've got a singer, a guitar player, and a drummer, and we're working together. We've been bouncing ideas back and forth, and there's something that's gonna come soon.
How soon can you say? You never know when these things will be ready.
Yeah, I mean, we're still in the demo phase. We're finishing the demos, and I hope this year, like maybe summer.
Well, I've released 3 studio albums and 2 live albums. Pay someone to mix it, because
Yeah,
it's not only a fresh pair of ears, but mixing is like a dark art. And I know you mix stuff and you release really good sound and bass videos, but when you get someone, all they do is mix songs. That's
no,
different.
definitely. We have someone doing the production side of things, because also, I mean, I can mix bass, I can record bass, but getting a good drum sound, good vocals, and making a record sound like a record, I don't know how to do that. So
And
I'm
making
definitely
it
gonna
pop
get
on
someone.
different systems, like it might make it sound good, but to make it sound good on loads of systems like car radios and everything, that's tricky.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The car radio is a good test, actually.
Yeah, that used to be the thing back in the day, the car radio
Yeah.
test. If you ever saw that film, Joy, did you ever listen to Joy Division?
No.
They're like their most famous song would be "Love." Love was tear us apart, but none of their other music sounds like that. But when they made their first record, he went straight into the car to listen to it, and he was like driving around with the band, and he was like, "Yeah, the mix is ready now. We can release it." Like, but he had to do the car radio test first.
Yeah. There's also like it has to sound good also on phone speakers, because a lot of people just listen to it like this, you know.
Yeah, that's a weird thing these days. Like when I'm doing my like bass videos, I mix them for my phone because there's no intention to release them on like Spotify or as a general release. So my main mix I bounce it to my phone, and if it sounds good, I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I do the same thing.
But when you come to like an official release, like your song, how do you figure out? You don't want to make your big album and mix it so it sounds good on phones. You really want to mix it for like a system.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But that's why I'm getting someone else to do it, because it's someone I trust as well, and he knows. He's also into rock music, and knows my. I already gave something away, but he knows my style and whatnot, so he's gonna make something out of it.
And is that your first foray into like original music? Have you ever been in original band or written your own stuff before?
Yeah, I have. I mean, I've played in a reggae band. We've also released some stuff. Also, back when I was in Peru, I also wrote with some bands original music, and there's also been albums that we recorded there. Also here in Germany, I also had a band. It was like a metal band where I also wrote a lot of material. But for the past few years, I haven't been writing music. Just for the Kier demos that all the all the videos have a little intro written by me. And I decided, you know what? Let's try to make some songs again. You know,
yeah.
I've been listening.
You can't beat it. Like it's great fun. Well, a pity you can't all get in the room and record, but that's great fun as well.
Yeah, and that's brought back some motivation, you know, after like 6 months of not playing, just making music again, being creative, and just trying to, you know, burst out ideas. And that's got me motivated again.
Yeah, me and my friends have an ongoing project. I'm not going to say the name of it because it's really childish. It's like a teenage band, but whenever we all are in the country, like the guitarist lives in Dubai, we write a song or two, and we just come to my garage or wherever and just drink loads of cans and record the songs. And we never release them, Ratton. We have them on a SoundCloud for ourselves, like.
Yeah,
it's way more fun than doing covers still, like.
Yeah, yeah, totally. The thing is, right now with the stuff that I'm writing, like we're 4 members, and 3 of us live here in Germany, and the singer lives in Peru. So we're kind of like, you know, collaborating on a distance, because we're also like, you know, separate here in Germany. It's been interesting to send, you know, files back and forth and see how we can change stuff, and also figuring out the logistics on how we're gonna record. It's gonna be interesting.
It's just fun though.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing your YouTube channel? Like, you have a nice loyal follow on that, and I still don't know how you did 3 videos a week. Like, you must be like the most disciplined person I've met on this thing. Like,
Well, I started my YouTube channel like way back, probably 2008, I think. That's when I opened
really?
it. But I yeah, like way back.
What the hell kind of camera had you that far back?
Like a cheap, point and shoot camera. And I just put a couple of short videos. I've put them all in private since then. But I started then, and then I started making videos again when I was here in Germany, and I think that was 2015 maybe, and really started getting to making content in like 2021 right now, maybe 2017 maybe.
Yeah, I think that was around the time I joined Instagram, and that's where I found you. Like you popped up there one day.
Yeah, maybe. And the way I found, maybe it helps you. I don't know how you do your videos, but the thing that I noticed that helps me to make videos is that I plan a recording day. That's when I shoot videos. Yeah. And I try to do as many as I can on that day. But I've already prepared all the stuff that I need to do that or for them, for backing tracks, or if I need, I don't know, to write music for that, or program drums or whatever, or make a concept or what I want to say or want to talk about. I prepare that beforehand, and then I just have to go there, set everything up, and I only have to set it up once, and then I can shoot as much as I need to.
So you'd shoot more than one video in one sitting?
Yeah.
Okay, I'd never do that. It's one at a time. I wouldn't be able to think that far ahead.
Yeah, I make a list of the things that I want, or a list of videos. For example, I can open up something here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 videos that I want to do at some point now, and probably I can do 4 in a day and still keep my sanity.
I might try that actually, because it's very stressful trying to get one done every week. Like, so the thought of having all the raw files ready and you just have to sit down and edit them sounds pretty good. Like,
yeah, the thing. Well, I try to look for things that streamline my process. So, for example, I have presets in my interface, for my mic and for my inputs of all the things, so that I can just click them and it's ready to go. I also have markings on my floor, so to know where the camera goes and where the lights go, and then it's just the through repetition, I know that it takes me an average X amount of takes to get something right that I want to communicate, and then also knowing when I see the video right on the editing program, I can see if there's a gap or if I repeat a phrase several times, and I know that all that happens before that, I can just cut and drop and then keep what's in the rest of the video. So that saves me editing time as well. And just looking for little things, or where can I improve to save me time, and that's how I've managed, I think, to.
I actually noticed a trend recently with the big YouTube channels. Their production value goes down once they hit like a load of followers, because people are too obsessed with that at the start. They have like these cinematic shots and everything is perfect. But then I noticed these big channels, they stop giving a shit, which is the way we should be. I didn't start for so long because I thought I had to have like one of those fancy mirrorless cameras, but I should have just started with what I had, like, and started learning.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the best thing. I mean, the videos are not gonna look great from the very beginning, but that's how you learn, actually. And I got the camera that I'm using right now after shooting on an old, I think I have it over there, Canon 600D, which was good, but it was really outdated for the time. And because I was also already getting in touch with companies and they were sending me stuff and I wanted to improve the quality, I said, okay, it's time to invest, because it is an investment in a better camera. And to me, the important thing was the autofocus, to be able to do this and stay in focus and then come back.
That's cool,
that. But that's not going to happen from the very beginning, right? You got to learn.
But sure, you don't even know how to use it. Like, when I got my Canon M50, I hadn't a bloody clue. Like, I was just clueless.
Yeah, and that's also a great camera. It's pretty cool. But if you get a phone, you already have something to record.
Yeah. And you'll get really good quality.
Yeah.
And like when you're putting up your videos, are you thinking, oh, this will get a lot of views? Or you just think you're putting up what you'd like to see?
I don't really, I mean, I do check the views of some videos to see, okay, what's performing, what or how. But I don't plan videos on, okay, this is gonna get me a lot of likes or a lot of videos or a lot of comments. I just put videos that I think are gonna be helpful, or that I want to share, or that some people have commented on that they, hey, I'm struggling with this, and then okay, that's a good idea for a video. I can talk about it, they just share it. But I'm not like, or actually, you've probably seen this also on YouTube. There are a lot of clickbait videos like, don't use this pedal, or the best pedal in the world. And, that's just clickbait. And yeah, it works because human nature is to go there. But I don't like that.
Yeah, you really won't be able to sustain that. You'll feel bad about yourself. Like you're making video types that if you saw them, you'd be cringing. You'd be like, oh God, that's just clickbait.
Yeah, I prefer just being honest and sharing what I believe is important. Sorry. And I think every one of us has a different perspective on things. So sharing your perspective of something is different. It's going to be different than my perspective. And I think that's the beauty of it, to give the viewers different perspectives, and don't worry too much about the outcome.
Yeah, I definitely noticed a trend, like my top 5 videos do the best, but I don't want to just be making top 5. I like making them, but I'm going to make more like complicated ones about learning how to play more than just top 5 bass line.
Yeah.
But that's the way it goes, I suppose. You have to find a balance.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the right answer, yeah.
And you're a big gearhead, like you must invest some load in gear, like, because you have a lot of really nice stuff. Did you just order like a new custom bass, like?
Yeah, that was my Dingwall bass. That was my gift to myself for graduating from a master's degree. Because actually I hadn't bought a bass in a long time. I have this is my Lakeland P bass.
Nice.
This is probably the bass that I use the most.
I have a red square that looks really like that one, but probably costs about 10% the price of it.
I didn't even want to buy this bass, Lakeland, but I went to a store, and because my friends who are guitar players wanted to check some guitars, and I was like, I'm gonna come along just to mess around, check out some basses, but I'm not gonna buy anything. And then I went, and then I played this one, and I was like blown away. I was like, it's too good. And we went back. I went back home, and the idea of the bass is stuck with me for a week. Then I went back and tested it again, and then I was like, "Oh, this bass is too good."
What can you put your finger on it? Like, what makes, like, when I look at that bass, it's a P bass. What makes it better than a square P bass, the Lakeland one?
Well, wait a sec. For me, the cool thing about this is that the body is a tiny bit slimmer overall than a regular.
It kind of has like a Music Man bridge. That's what it looks kind of like.
It's similar, yeah. It's a big chrome bridge. There are no mutes here. It's just a regular bridge, but the body is a bit more compact than a regular P bass. And one thing that I love is the way they've made the contour here. It's really comfortable, and the neck profile is a jazz neck profile.
Okay,
so it's slimmer.
Nice.
And it's a very slim here. I mean, it's probably one of the nicest neck profiles.
It's probably like my Aerodyne, which has a jazz neck and a slim down body as well.
Yeah, those are also great basses, for example. The only downside for me about this one is that it weighs a lot. But I love it. It plays wonderfully. It's had a nice action. The frets are great. It's plecked as well, but it just weighs too much for me. I noticed, a gig, like a 1 hour gig, and I was already noticed like here pushing on my shoulder.
Really? Yeah, I play the Aerodyne at all my gigs, so it doesn't weigh much, so never have that problem.
Yeah. But that's what for me at least, was the advantage of that against a Squier, for example, right?
And then, but now you have the Dingwall. That was your new purchase.
Yeah. That was, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot of money for a bass.
You don't want to say how much
almost, I paid almost $4,000 for that. It is a lot of money.
You're going to be like that joke, the musician who drives around in a €300 car with €4,000 worth of equipment.
Yeah, definitely, man. But I was like, I've got a master's degree. I finished this stuff. I wanna get one nice bass because I've always wanted to have a custom instrument just the way I wanted it to be, and I made a savings plan to pay for that. So I was not like, I didn't put it on a credit card and I'm in debt. So, but I made a plan. How much can I save each month? How am I going to save each month to be able to pay for it? So that's what I did.
Well, you're a professional musician, like, I have friends who are builders, like, and they'd have thousands and thousands of euro worth of tools in their van. So that's a good justification.
Yeah, I mean, it is a nice justification to put it that way, but it's an amazing instrument. I still haven't played that much because I don't know why. I mean, it is amazing, but the thing is that I kill strings super fast, and I don't want to kill them too fast because I haven't ordered new strings yet. So, but the little I've played with it, it's just so smooth. The action is amazing. And it's got a Wenge neck with lumin lace, so you can see in the dark. You can see the positions in the dark. But it's a lot of money, and to be honest, I think you don't necessarily need a custom bass. You can get away with a Squier P bass or something cheaper.
Is that fan fret as well, the Dingwall?
Yeah.
What's the story with that fan fret thing? I'd say a lot of people have never even played one. Like, how does it affect the tone or the playability, or what's the point of it?
You gotta think about it as a, like a piano, that the upper strings, the higher strings, have a shorter scale length, and the bass strings have a longer scale length. So that evens up the tension of the strings and also gives you a more even tone. And Dingwall offers two main types of instruments, so to speak. There's the Super Series, which is based on traditional Fender basses, the Super P and the Super J, and there's the other series, like the Afterburner, the C.
They're the ones that are in the crazy colors, like the crazy yellow and stuff.
Yeah, those ones have a longer scale length. The G string on those is like a regular 34-inch scale, and the B string on a 5-string is 37, so you get a much longer B string. And that allows you to be able also to use a smaller gauge on the strings and still retain the tension, and you have more balance across strings.
Okay.
So you get a really pristine sound, very clear definition of the notes, even in lower tunings.
And was it much different in the hand compared to a normal bass when you picked it up first?
It depends on what you play. I used to have one of the longer scale ones, and I'm a short guy. I don't have huge hands, and it was a bit of a stretch for me. But the Super Series is a bit shorter. It's actually a medium scale on the G string. It's a 32-inch, and the E string is 34.25, so 34 and 1/4 of an inch. So it's a tiny bit longer than a regular E string, and that is a lot. That is really, really comfortable, and you don't really have to look at the fretboard. You get used to it extremely fast. Other if you have to solo or play chords up the neck, then you have to practice a bit. Just change your hand position a bit.
Yeah.
But you barely notice it. It's like second nature.
So you like it? You think it's a winner, like that fan fret thing?
Yeah, I really like it because it has a lot of benefits. Like I said, even tension, you get a very pristine sound, a lot of definition, and the quality of the instruments that Dingwall is putting out is amazing. It's just mind blowing how good the setup is, how good the attention to detail is. So if you can test one of those, I definitely recommend.
Where are they from, Dingwall?
From Canada.
Okay. How did you were like talking directly to the factory over a few months, telling them exactly what you wanted? Is that how it went?
No, you have to order the bass through a dealer, and you can see some of the options that you can order from the website, or you can ask your dealer for a spec option list. And each instrument has like a bass, bass configuration. So I don't know. For example, the Super P comes with an alder body wood, a maple neck, a Wenge fretboard, and stuff like that. And then there's up charges for some of the other options. So I picked, for example, a swamp ash body, a Wenge neck as well. Then I also picked block inlays, which are a bit more expensive than dots, which are free.
And the blocks are cool. They're pure 70s.
Yeah, blocks are awesome. I also picked the lumen inlays because I don't know if it's happened to you, but sometimes you're on stage and it's completely dark because the lights are out, right?
Oh, it happens at festivals a lot. You're in a field in the middle of nowhere, and it's really dark. You just can't see anything. And then your hands are cold as well. It makes it even harder.
Yeah, and then you gotta find your way around the fretboard, and by having the dots there, they light up in the dark, so you can at least see where you are. And what else did I pick? I think that was it. Or the finish, which is I really like the look of natural finishes, like to see the grain of the wood. So I picked a natural to black burst finish. And then I requested that they kind of like make an accent of the grain.
I did that on, see the red strap behind me? I did a black burst with red. And the grain really pops out. It's actually just a square that I put a veneer on to make it look like a flame top guitar, like an expensive one.
Yeah, something like that. I really like to see the grain pop on the instruments because I think the wood has just so many unique qualities. I think it's a shame to put solid colors on them.
Yeah, usually they do that in cheap guitars because it's like a cheap piece of wood that has no grain in it really. That's interesting. So it just covers it like.
Yeah.
And did you have a custom G&L?
Not right now. I have two of them here with me. I have a USA P bass, it's an LB100. And a USA JB, but I have one on order that's I don't know when it's going to arrive, but that's part of an endorsement.
Oh, nice. Are you officially allowed to announce that?
I haven't yet. I mean, I'm kind of like under endorsement for G&L Germany, so it's not exclusive endorsement, but yeah, we've been working together. That's why I can. Well, the two instruments that I have from them, they're lent to me.
How does that work? Like, how do they know that? I saw you did a review of a Duesenberg before as well, which is super expensive instrument. How do they know you're not going to just run off with the bass? Do you sign something to say like, I'm going to send it back?
I didn't sign anything, but they have my address, and
they have some big guys that will come after you to get their bass back.
They can send the police if I try to do something bad.
But you have your own podcast, Coffee with Ivan, if anyone wants to check it out. But I was listening to your episode with the guy from G&L, and I was surprised
Steve.
that like such a big guitar company only has like a handful of employees. Like, when you see these names on the headstocks, you're assuming they're like all like Fender or Gibson big, but they really are just run by a bunch of guys, a small group of fellas. Like,
and I think there are other companies that have maybe less people. For example, Dingwall, I think the team is not that big. Sandberg here in Germany, I think also doesn't have a huge team, but they distribute instruments to the whole world. Duesenberg is also a small team. I think I think it's a tough business to sell instruments.
Yeah, as well with all the cheap basses coming into the market, like Harley Benton and what's that new one?
Yeah,
Glary. Have you seen them?
No,
they're like $70, and a lot of
Wow.
they've sent them to a lot of the big YouTubers who've played them and said it's a really good bass. It's $70, so it's hard to compete with that, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think there are different markets for different instruments, right? I have a Harley Benton bass that they sent me for a test, and I was expecting the worst because I was like, it's a €130 bass. It's gonna be tough to review this.
Would you review
thing.
it honestly though? If it was a ball of shit, like
Yeah,
would you say this is awful?
All the stuff that's in my channel is 100% honest. I keep it completely clean. But that bass blew me away. It is a great instrument. Of course, there are shortcomings. There's the pickups maybe aren't the best. The contours of the instruments are maybe not the most comfortable. The tuners are also kind of crappy and stuff. But it plays great right out of the box. It's really good. I wish I had I learned to play bass with an instrument like that.
Yeah, they're good at that, Toman, setting up the instruments before they leave.
Yeah.
I had some problems with the Sire M7 I bought and had to send it back. And it's the one they sent me. I'm not even happy with either. The neck is kind of uncontrollable on it. It's fret buzzing and all the time, but I don't know what's going on with it. I still can't get it set up properly.
Oh, wow. I actually haven't never played a Sire bass.
They're really good, but I just think with that particular model, it has a really skinny neck. And I did like a course in lutherie before, like a year-long one. So basically, like some of the cheaper bits of wood, if they don't let them cure and age properly, when they make a neck out of them, they might move a bit because they haven't fully settled into their final position. So that could be something that happens with cheaper basses that come from cheaper bits of wood. Like,
yeah, maybe. I remember watching a video. I don't know from which manufacturer, but
there goes my Sire endorsement anyway. Gone.
They said that they let the necks dry for like months before they build out a neck.
You have to. But the Sires are brilliant. The electronics in them are class. Like, you're getting like about a €400 active preamp system, and the whole bass only costs 400. Like,
yeah.
So they are really, and they just brought out a new range of like classic designs, like P basses and jazz basses, passive ones, and I'm tempted to get one of them. They look awesome, lovely colors and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could get one of them, but I really can't buy more basses.
They actually brought out a new bass. It's pretty much a short scale Aerodyne. It's exactly like an Aerodyne, but short scale.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that they have also released some guitars, so they're moving. They're planning some good things there in that company.
Yeah, maybe it's my fault. I can't set up that bass properly. It's the only bass I have that has a skinny neck and 24 frets, so it's very different trying to set them up than a Fender style bass.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so it's one of the modern ones from them.
Yeah, the most modern one, the M7.
Yeah, okay.
But what'll be your plan for the future, Ivan? Will you just keep doing the YouTube stuff, and hopefully when touring comes back, you'll go back doing that? Like,
well, right now I'm just focusing on, taking it day by day, trying to get my mobility back of my leg, and just try to stay positive and just get back to playing bass. And hopefully after, in like 2-3 weeks, maybe get back to teaching again normally, because I can't really sit for extremely long periods of time. So I can't sit through a whole day of teaching yet, but I want to get back to doing that. And yeah, I mean, who knows when live music is going to come back. So
I have a tour.
I hope.
I have 2 weeks in England in November and a week in Ireland in December. And I'm hoping that'll go ahead.
It's awesome. I hope it works out, man. I hope it works out for you.
Well, I think the English tour will go ahead. They're vaccinating like crazy, so.
Yeah, that's true. I have a gig set in July, but it's a one-off thing, and I'm not sure if it's going to happen or not. So, other than that, I don't have any shows booked for this year. But I'm just going to keep focusing on teaching, and getting back to making YouTube videos and see what happens. And of course, like I said, I'm working on this project with original music, so I want to also push that a bit more, and yeah, see where it goes.
Do you do much remote recording for other bands or projects? Does that kind of stuff come up much?
For some people that I know, yeah, not that many, but I have done it a couple of times. Yeah,
it's hard to break into, I think, that world. Like, it's like your phone never rings for that kind of stuff. Like, and then you see other people, you know, and they're doing remote recording all the time. I think it is very hard to break into.
I remember, I don't know if it was on my podcast or I watched a video of him, but Ian Allison, do you know him?
Oh yeah, he's like the MVP of bass on Instagram.
Yeah, he mentioned that, you know, if you want, the way he got into to recording for other people is he just, you know, reached out and said, hey, I like the way you write music.
Yeah.
Do you need bass? And I think that's the best approach, is to offer or give value to our people. And if they like it, you know, most of the time they're going to give you a reward or pay you or something.
Yeah. You have to believe in what you're getting involved in. So that's a good approach. Like,
yeah, just to offer your services, because otherwise how are they going to find you?
Yeah. It's hard though, but yeah, I'll try that. Like, but it seems a lot. I suppose I assume everyone has someone for their bass already, but they mightn't.
I know a lot of people that, you know, just make music in their bedroom or sing, guitar players, and they need an arrangement. They need, you know, a bassist. They need a drummer, stuff like that. So I think just reach out, and that can definitely lead somewhere.
Yeah, they probably they don't understand the role of the bass. Like they might just follow the guitar for the bass part. So it'd be good to have an actual bass player in to lay something down.
Yeah, maybe.
And you don't really use much effects. You never got into that too much, did you?
I like to keep things simple. Because I also play in a couple of you know, I think they call them function bands over there.
Yeah.
Like galas and some weddings and whatnot. And most of the time I just need, you know, my bass, my tuner, a bit of drive, and maybe an octave pedal, some compression. And that's it. Like for 99% of the time.
You don't see yourself getting into like the synth bass like Ian Allison, is it?
Yeah, I mean, for that I use my OC2 and then I put some drive, and that's how I roll. You can get more, you know, more in depth with that, but I don't see, at least at the moment, getting, you know, a huge pedal board to make crazy sounds, because I like to keep things simple.
It's a slippery slope as well when you start buying the pedals. I'll add one more.
Yeah.
One more.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's extra money that you have to invest in that, and it also increases the chances of something failing mid-gig. And I've had it where, you know, for some reason, you know, something stopped working, someone stepped on a cable and the pedal board got disconnected, or, you know, a pedal breaks, and then you're in the middle of the gig and you're standing.
I actually have this little bag that because it did happen a few times at a festival. You've got no time. It's like, go up, do the set. It's 40 minutes. It's a line check. So I have a little bag, and it has like, have you ever seen those little 9-volt power supplies? It's just a battery with a cable, and it goes straight into your pedals and powers them.
Oh wow!
So I have 2 of them. So if my something's wrong with my board, I just plug in my tuner and my drive, and it'll be running off the 9-volt batteries straight into the amp, and it gets you out of jail. Like, it's brilliant.
Yeah, that's cool. I've never heard about that.
So like, because you can freak out. Like, you're like, oh, what's wrong? I can't figure out what cable is wrong, and they're all looking at you to start the set. So at least it'll let you power 2 or 3 pedals like straight away. Like, you can figure out what went wrong after.
Yeah. I mean, that's also happened to me. I remember I was playing a show, and somehow, you know, I didn't have any signal, and I think afterwards, the trumpet player stepped on the power cord of my pedal board and unplugged it. But the only thing I could do at the moment was just grab my cable and plug directly into my amp,
that's the one,
and keep playing, right? So
I actually had an amp go on fire at a gig. Like, the smoke started coming out of the speakers and everything.
Wow.
But it was the last gig of the tour, so we were doing the encore in Wales,
Yeah.
and we were just like, "That's it, lads. Show's over. There'll be no more encores."
And why did it burn?
I don't know. Like I have like 5 broken Trace Elliott amps, so
Wow.
I don't think they could handle the how much I was driving them. Like, so I'm on TC Electronic now, and I haven't put them on fire yet.
I have never burned an amp.
That's the second amp I put on fire. The other one kept working. I think the tweeter burnt out and the smoke started coming out of the tweeter, but it didn't make the cab stop working. It looked cool.
Wow.
Because when you're really pushing the distortion, like the tweeters can't handle it.
Yeah.
I actually just got this HX Stomp talking about getting gear that you don't need. And I haven't a clue how to use it, but I plugged it in and played around it a bit, but it's just a whole another thing like that you have to learn. It's like learning a new audio station or something.
Yeah, I actually have the plugin version of that. I have Helix Native on my laptop, and I use it for some times, for some things. For example, all of these demos that I've been writing, I didn't have my bass at the time. I only had my guitar with me, and what I did to write a bass was to grab the guitar, put a simple pitch down of the Helix block, and then tune it down an octave. Just use the whole wet signal, and then put an amp of
Seven Nation Army kind of thing.
Yeah, dude, it sounds great.
Yeah,
it sounds pretty good.
The phrasing, sometimes in a good way, when you play a guitar tuned down to the bass range, because the strings are so skinny, it sounds different, but sometimes in a cool way.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I was surprised by how good it worked in the mix. Just as a demo, at least it was really, really cool, and just to be able to get the ideas down, it's pretty helpful. And the distortion sounds there are pretty cool.
Yeah, they're class. I'm going to get into it. Like, I like the idea of being able to do a whole gig with just that thing, and you've all your patches. At the moment, I have a big pedal board, like, and I'd be like dancing on them, trying to get them all engaged for certain songs.
Yeah. I have some friends that have or play with the Stomp, and they're pretty happy with it. My only issue so far that I've seen when I've played with other people that have modelers is that, sometimes you spend a lot of time at your room dialing your tones and your patches and your settings, and then you go to the gig and you're in sound check, and then you swap from one preset to the next, and the volumes are completely off. Or
it's a disaster.
One sound is way too piercing. And going through all the menus and dialing and changing all the stuff takes definitely longer than grabbing a pedal and turning the knob. Right?
Yeah, you can't beat that. Like, just engage it and just it works. And some stuff sounds great at home, and then it sounds terrible when you get to the gig. Like certain pedals do.
Yeah, but I think if you spend the time and you definitely talk to your sound engineer and you get all the flow of the presets right, it can definitely work. But I've noticed that sometimes they buy some people that I know bought a new piece of gear and they bring it to a gig, and they're like super excited to play with it, and it was like maybe you should have spent a little more time dialing it first before bringing it.
Yeah, I bought a Japanese Jaguar. Looked amazing, like, but I didn't realize that I do this kind of Les Claypool strummy thing for a few songs, and I kept turning the bass off because I had loads of knobs up the top near the horn.
Yeah,
and I was doing the strum, and I kept turning it off. I was like, I can't keep this bass. I'll just be turning it off every night. So I had to let it go, even though it looked amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, stuff like that. You gotta, but those are things that you find out once you road test stuff or you test it in the real world. Right? If you're in your room and you're playing, you're in a control situation. But when you're in a gig, you see what works and what doesn't.
And where in Germany are you living, Ivan?
I'm in Münster.
Münster.
That is, somewhat like in the middle west of Germany. It's close to the Dutch border.
And what's the music scene like there? Is it vibrant?
There are some jazz clubs. There's a couple of rock clubs. there's a small music scene here, but most of the time I don't play here when I play. I either play like south of here, like closer to cities like Dortmund or Cologne or Düsseldorf, or also in the northern part of Germany.
And are you going to stay in Germany now that you're finished college? You like it there?
I would like to stay, yeah.
Yeah, I've been there. I played in, where did I play? The Blues Garage in Hanover. Have you heard of that venue?
No, but I've been to Hanover a couple of times. It's a cool city.
It's just crazy. This guy owns like a limousine company, but he loves the Allman Brothers. So he said, fuck it, I'll make a venue as well. So he turned like one of the big sheds into a venue, and he turned another unit into a music themed hotel. So every room in the hotel is dedicated to a musician, and the whole room is full of memorabilia for that musician. Mm-hmm. So I slept in the TM Stevens room, and everything in the room is signed by that musician because they've played in his venue. Because TM Stevens used to play there a lot. So, and Buddy Guy played there once too. So he signed all the stuff in the Buddy Guy room.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's some place like you should go and check it out.
Yeah, Blues Garage.
Blues Garage in Hanover.
Okay. Hanover. Yeah,
just to get to stay in the hotel, and there's some, and it was he's a really cool guy who runs it. He was saying he was treating us really well, like, and you know, you don't get treated on tour sometimes. You know, they're like, oh, have a pizza, lads, and that'll do you. Or where are we sleeping? Oh, sure, we don't care. Just look after yourselves. But he was being so nice to us, and we were like thanking him so much the next day, and he just said, I just treat everyone the same. Like, so basically he was saying, it doesn't matter if your guys from Ireland or Buddy Guy, everyone is the same. Like when they come here, like gets the same treatment.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've noticed here in Germany. Most of the promoters or venue owners, they do try to, or they do compensate the musicians fairly, and they treat you well. You know, they book you hotels, and they also give you food, like real food, before the gig, and you get drinks, and they make sure that you have some water behind the stage and stuff. There are venues like city festivals that are people are just getting drunk there all the time, and there is a bit different. But if you play in a show, most of the time the organizers are very, very friendly. Yeah, we have a long way to go in Ireland in that we're still in the stage of just here's a few beers, lads, and no food. But then bands already tour around Ireland as much as they used to, like, because it's so small. But when you're in Europe, you need to get a meal, like, and a few free beers is nice too. Like, when you're in Spain, sometimes they have a fridge on the stage full of beers for you. you nice. Just take one out while there's a break in the songs, like. Yeah. They just have it. Where did you play in Spain? When did I play in Spain? Where? Oh, everywhere, like Galicia and over in Catalonia. We do the whole country, like, in 2 weeks, kind of around it all, and brilliant. I think it's the most vibrant rock scene I've seen in Europe, anyway. Really? Yeah, I just put up a picture there today on Instagram. And we were in Cangas, which is in Galicia, in the west, kind of north of Portugal, and they have a thing where they pick up the musicians who are on stage and carry them around the venue. Oh yeah, I saw that picture. And then they wanted to carry me outside, and I was like, I don't have a wireless system. Like, I'm on a cable, and I was playing the song, like, because they wanted to bring me out onto the street and walk around the street and then back in. Wow. But they treat every band the same who comes, like it's a big event. It's absolutely class, like. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you should get to Spain. They've every town, decent sized town, has a rock venue, like a proper venue, like that only is dedicated to having gigs, like. Cool. Yeah, hopefully when this whole thing passes and one can play again. Cool. Well, have you any cool stuff coming up that you want to tell people about? Are you going to get your podcast going again, or are you taking a break from it? To be honest, I'm not sure if that's going to continue. Right now I'm just focusing on my knee and getting just trying to structure all my my everyday life together. I might get back to doing that, but I just want to focus right now on getting my health back in the first place, and slowly also get back to making regular videos. And like I said, this project of original music is gonna come soon, and if you want to check that out, if your viewers want to check that out, you can go to my channel of YouTube. That's Ivanbassist. There's gonna be some releases there, and also my Instagram. But other than that, I'm gonna be demoing this Olympic tube preamp soon, and also gonna do a demo of my Dingwall bass. What else? I have to do a demo of my Noble DI as well. I haven't done that. I actually wanted to wait to play more live shows.
I actually was looking at buying one of them. Well, I saw the price. I was like, whew, I better save up for that thing. It's like a tube preamp made by one guy in his shed or something.
Yeah. It's a one-man operation. It's definitely worth the price.
It sounds amazing, like the clean tone out of it.
Yeah, it's like really warm. And to be honest, I bought mine. I mean, a couple of friends of mine had it before I bought mine, and they were all blown away by it. They were like, it's amazing. And I tested it once at a friend's place, and we tested at a low volume, and it was like, I don't know, man. And I just kept hearing from all different people that it was amazing. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna save up. I'm gonna buy it, and if I don't like it, I can probably sell it for the same price, because there's a 3-month wait time to get them. And I ordered it, and I was like, okay, this is not going anywhere. It's gonna stay.
So how does it work? You just plug into that. It goes into your interface and then into Logic, and it sounds class.
Yeah, wait. Let me grab it 1 second.
Because I'm only getting into the recording the last few years, and I'm sure lots of the listeners aren't aware. Why would you go and spend €1,000 on a DI when you can get one for €20 that I suppose you might think does the same job?
This is the
and
Noble.
It looks awesome as well.
It looks really fancy. Yeah. You got the 2 tubes.
Do they light up when it's on?
A little bit, yeah, but you can see them because it's usually like flat like this, like that, so you don't see them. But I mean, the cool thing about it is that you plug your instrument here, but you can also power up a couple of pedals.
I saw that. That's such a cool feature. Like, why not do that? Like, sure, put in the pedal power.
Yeah, I mean, it is not. How do you call this? It is like daisy chaining pedals, so you might get some noise depending on the pedals that you use, but still you get the ability to do it, right? You can hook up your tuner and some other stuff. I can hook an entire small pedal board just with this. And here you have a treble control, bass control, and a high pass filter. There's a switch, and then just your DI out. And the thing about this is that even when set flat, you get a really warm and rich sound, and you also get a little bit of tube compression, so you get a squishy response when playing, and it just makes the sound really wide. And I've noticed that it just the bass glues perfectly with the kick drum. It's just amazing. And I
suppose these days, with all the remote recording, if you do want to get into it and you want to be in the position to say, I can do stems for a professional album, you probably need an expensive DI like that, don't you? You wouldn't get away with just going straight into the interface.
I mean, the one DI that I can highly recommend, and it's not that expensive and it's great, is a Neve RNDI. That one costs, I think, $240 something euros. About the price range. And I don't have it here. I also have it, but I borrowed it, or I lent it to a friend. But there, you just you go in and then you go out. There's no EQ. There's
That's
nothing.
That's not the big red one, is it? It looks like something from the Ghostbusters films.
No, that's the red DI.
That's a good one as well. I heard. I've probably recorded with it.
That's great too. There's a tube DI as well, but the Neve one is cheaper than the red DI or the Ready, and it has a lot of headroom. You can push a lot of input in there. You can crank distortion. You can put have a really hot active bass, and you're not gonna clip the signal. You get a really wide dynamic range, and it's also a very pristine sounding DI. So you hear full low end. You hear a lot of detail in the top end, and that gives you a lot more clarity in the signal. So if you are going to invest in a DI, I highly recommend getting that one.
Like, would it be fair to say probably like if you're thinking of, you want to make music your career, maybe don't buy that really expensive bass that you don't need and invest in a good DI box?
If you want to record, definitely. I think let's just as an example, you can get a Mexico P bass or jazz bass or whatever. Upgrade the pickups if you want to. But get a good interface and a good DI, and then you can send high quality stems or tracks to people, and then they can put plugins or amp simulations on top of that. But of course, the playing comes first. You gotta play solidly. You gotta also learn how to record, because recording and delivering a performance that's gonna be kept on a record is different than just playing live. But learning how to work with the click.
Yeah, we do all our albums live. Well, the last one we kind of tracked it a bit, but the first album was 100% live, and Chris even sang most of the songs live and kept the takes. Like even at the end of one of the songs, he says, "Electric Soup" on our first album. He says, "Oh, thank fuck that's finished." So it was like take about 40 or something, and we said we had to keep it on the record. You can hear, "Oh, thank fuck."
Yeah. Yeah, those things I gotta keep on the record, definitely. But it's a different vibe when you record it with a band in a room and live than recording separately. And if you're gonna be sending files to different people, you have to learn and get used to performing with a click, and to get used to that. But so far, what I've noticed that recording yourself, in a DAW is one of the best exercises, because it's just like taking a microscope and looking at your playing, like very honestly.
Yeah, there's nowhere to hide. So
if you're
when you're
rushing,
looking at it.
If you're rushing or dragging, or a passage is not clear, you're playing sloppy, that's gonna, you're gonna hear it right back. So that can help you improve your playing as well.
Yeah, everyone should do that. Just there's no excuse really these days, like, because the stuff is so cheap.
Yeah, I mean, there are like really cheap interfaces for like €30 or something, and you can get Reaper, the DAW, which is free pretty much, and start recording with that. You just need an XLR cable and your instrument cable, and that's it.
Just do it. It's good crack. I actually entered your competition there. You did that was good fun. You did like a disco bass challenge.
Yeah, I remember.
That was great crack. I think I'm going to do one of them. Like, and that was fun. Like seeing all the other bass players' interpretation of the same drum beat.
Yeah, it's cool to see how different people approach different, bass lines.
I found that really hard though when you're talking about recording and getting it tight. I had to do so many takes because I was trying to get those disco octaves tight.
Yeah,
and I'd never really done them before.
Yeah, that's actually pretty tricky. That's something that I struggle with, and it's pretty fast though. You just made like this movement. I think you do it with the thumb and these two fingers. I also have seen some people that do it like that. I just do it with my 2 fingers, but it's a tricky rhythm. Yeah.
Have you seen that guy from Brazil? He looks pure 70s. He has a big afro. He's on Instagram.
Yeah.
I've been learning some of the stuff that he puts up. I don't know where he finds all these old funk songs, but I'm getting into the double thumb, like, and slowly learning how to do it. And that makes playing those kind of fast things a lot faster, a lot easier.
There's actually a big Brazilian funk scene.
Really?
It's a huge scene. Yeah, they're really big into funk.
So you could actually get a gig in it being a funk band, like start up a funk band, and you'd get paid.
Yeah.
That's class. We'll all have to move to Brazil, all the bass players.
There are tremendous musicians in Brazil. It's amazing.
The only thing is you can't get them on the podcast because a lot of them don't speak English. Like, I don't think that guy speaks English. I'd love to get him on, like, but because he's just absolutely class.
Yeah.
But any plans for the evening, Ivan? I'm going to log off there in a minute now. I don't know what I'm going to do. I usually go on a cycle with my mates on a Saturday,
Mhm.
but the weather was terrible today, so we didn't bother.
Yeah. Not much. I'm probably gonna cook something, do my physiotherapy exercises, and then play some bass because I haven't played today. I was busy doing some other stuff.
You seem to me like you're a real
But
like old school kind of guy. Like you don't play computer games or watch a lot of TV. I'd say you just read books and play your bass.
Look, to be honest, I love video games. I don't know how many hours I've spent playing video games, but I don't do it anymore because I got other priorities. But I mean, I don't know how many hours I've spent playing Final Fantasy or Skyrim.
I was big into Final Fantasy.
The music is amazing there.
class.
The soundtracks are great, or way more old school, like on the SNES and the Super Nintendo. Mega Man or Castlevania, stuff like that. It's like amazing.
It'd be good to do covers of the bass lines are always brilliant in those old tunes.
Yeah, I mean the 8-bit songs, like just like in the SNES, they're great tunes. They're really great soundtracks, and I play a lot of that, but not anymore. I mean, I don't want to say I don't have the time because you kind of like
priorities. Like you don't think it's good use of your time.
Yeah, I'd rather invest it in something else. So I just try to do things that are going to help me long term.
Yeah, I actually stopped playing for years, but then this year I've been playing a bit more. But it's more of a social thing. I just play online with my friends, like, because there's so little interaction. But apart from my girlfriend, the only people I meet are the guests on the podcast and people playing video games.
Yeah, I think this past year and still this year, I think everything is valid to keep your sanity. Do whatever you gotta do to stay, mentally healthy.
But fair play to you, like you got a double whammy, like with the leg, and then the pandemic. Like that's bad luck.
Yeah, I mean, to be being completely honest, it has weighed on me. Like the past months, I was like, dude, this sucks, and just staying stuck at home all the time, not going out, and every day is the same. I don't know which day it is, things like that. It's definitely, tough on your head, and I think everyone should try at least to find something, anything, at least to get you through those tough times. And right now, like I said, being able to write some new music and getting back to playing has definitely brought some motivation back for me.
Well, what I was thinking was like we see a lot of stuff about like how bad like social media is, and everyone saw that new documentary, like The Social Dilemma. But I saw you getting a lot of support like about your leg. So I'd say social media helped you like get through it, like.
Yeah, I mean, I completely understand all the negative effects of social media that they're shown on that film, for example. I can see, for example, just as a random example, you text someone and then the person doesn't text you back in hours, and the person has his or her phone on the hand, texting, and you're already starting thinking about, okay, why is he or her not getting back to me? Is he mad or something? Or you see them posting on Instagram and not getting back to you, and that is definitely like the bad side of it, or people being fake on social media. But one important thing for me was to keep my YouTube channel, to keep my Instagram as open and as honest as possible, because I think that's the best way to go, also the best way long term. And all the people reaching out and commenting me and asking me how I'm doing has definitely helped me to get through mentally, because I was like, okay, the things that I was doing have helped people, to be better bass players, better musicians, to have fun, and it's having an impact. So I appreciate that they care about me. So I want to get back to giving to them.
Yeah, well, at least there's some good side to it. It's not all negative. It's hard to stay away from it. It's very addictive, isn't it, to be looking at it? But so you got to get the balance, like.
Yeah, totally. I mean, one thing that I've noticed that helps me to not stay scrolling all the time is if I have to do something, right? I have my phone, and if anyone needs to contact me, like, and it's important, they're gonna call
Yeah,
me.
that's true.
They can pick
That's
up
what my
on
mother
call.
always says. If it's important, they'll call you back. That's it.
Yeah, and that's why when I have to get stuff done, I just turn off my Wi-Fi, my internet on the phone, and if anyone needs to call or to get to me or reach out, they're gonna call.
Yeah.
And if they don't call, or if my phone doesn't ring, I'm good. I can turn on the internet when I'm done.
Yeah, that's true. I don't turn on mine in the morning. Usually, I'll leave it till like 11 or 12, like to turn on the Wi-Fi. Just stay away from it. I need to get a cup
that's
like you
good.
have. I have one actually. A friend of mine bought me a podcast cup.
I saw. I like your designs, man. By the way, they're great.
I'm sold out of nearly sold out of the first run of the Cpntact T-shirt.
Yeah,
which I'm delighted.
That's great. I mean, they're really cool designs.
Thanks. Yeah, I hopefully bring out like 2 or 3 a year. Like so, I'm not great at Photoshop, so I come up with the ideas, and I'll get an artist who's good at Photoshop to put my idea to an image, like make it the way I want it.
Yeah.
But sure, it's just a bit of fun,
That's cool.
Not going to become a millionaire like selling T-shirts, but it's enjoyable, coming up with. I'm making stuff that I'd like to wear. Like.
Yeah, for sure.
You have a few things, like you have your bass merch as well, like.
Yeah, I mean, I have the cup and I have my T-shirt, but to be honest, I just made them because I wanted to have them myself. Just to have
I
them.
decided not to use those Chinese sites. I just said I'll get them screen printed and buy a batch of them, which was a bit of a risk. I could be left with like 50 T-shirts and I'd be wearing the same clothes for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
but it's worked out so far.
I printed like 1 or 2 T-shirts and the cup just to have them for myself, and if anyone wants them, they can get it. But I'm like, I don't really care. But like I said, I really like your designs. The one of the schematics is really cool. Looking forward to more stuff.
I've already got the next one made. Like it's won't reveal too much, but an artist who did an albums for famous Irish rock bands, he is doing it. Like.
Okay.
And then the one after that, I don't know. I'll just roll with it. See what happens.
Yeah.
Cheers. Cool. Well, thanks for coming on. It's Ivan, isn't it? I'm pronouncing it right.
Yeah, it's correct. Ivan. It's got an accent on the A. But I mean, people here in Germany, they call me Ivan, or for people online, Ivan. So I don't really care. You can call me what.
Yeah, I would have said Ivan. Only I heard you pronounce it yourself a few times. So.
Yeah.
Cheers, man. Sure.
Thanks for inviting me, man.